Party people, Bobo here with BrassReel Brothers. Thanks for coming back for some more BrassReel Tonight. Well, I'm just chilling, getting ready. Got a little stuff, a little behind schedule here. Sorry I'm about a minute late, but that's all right. Still going to roll on, getting started. How's everybody doing today? Good? I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. It's still raining like hell over here. It's starting to simmer down just a little bit. Man, it's been waking up raining like crazy. Can't walk my dog, nothing like that. But now she's all stir crazy. But I hope everybody's doing good. Not a crazy stuff in the world of movies today, just sort of the random, typical jargon. Hey, what's up there, Asmaniac? How you doing, buddy? Yeah, he says it's raining there too. Lousy summer in the UK. That sounds like it could be a Miley Cyrus song. A lousy summer in the UK. Lousy summer in the UK. There it is right there. I better put my hands up and bang. And oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing that. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Terrible. Well, getting started first off, guys, we do have something that's hang on one. Every now and then I feel like my mixer gets like radio signals. It'll be just weird just for a second. I don't think you guys are picking that up. I think I'm just picking it up through my headphones. But I hope I'm sounding good. Anyways, yeah, he says, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, there you go. So first off, guys, we had a little disappointment that I woke up to this morning. And I'm sure that people can agree with me out there. That's why I got my Kill Bill shirt on. It's a little tribute to Sonny. Chiba has died at 82 of COVID complications. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, he was a martial arts legend, huge in the martial arts world, along with Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, all that stuff. And sorry about that. And he died of COVID complications. Unfortunately, that's terrible. But he's most known for his role as the Street Fighter. And I mean, he was a badass, and he continued to do really cool stuff with his life, like including getting his 4th degree black belt in 1984 in like jujitsu and karate and all kinds of like in 4 different martial arts. He got his 4th degree black belt in 1984 after he had already gone on to be really successful with the films like the Street Fighter and all those films. And he had a ton of different movies, and I don't remember the names of them fully, but I know in the 70s that was sort of his claim to fame time. Really, he remained in there. Now, what a lot of people might remember him for, and that's why I have the Kill Bill shirt on today, is he played the guy who gave Uma Thurman the Hattori Hanzo sword in Kill Bill. And he was that chef, that sushi chef she goes to see when she first gets to Japan. And man, that guy is awesome. Like, to me, that is some of the funniest stuff in the movie right there, is when his interaction with her. And what I love about his character in that movie is that he seemed so kind of goofy and crazy with his server that's working with him at that sushi restaurant that he's the chef in. I guess it's his little sushi shop. And he's just so comical the whole time. And then all of a sudden later in the film, when he gives her that sword, the Hattori Hanzo sword and everything, he switches gears. You see, oh, the comical side is sort of facade. This is who this guy really is. And man, I just love that. I think it really adds a lot of the depth of the story. The Kill Bill movies together as a whole is my favorite thing that Quentin Tarantino's ever done. Not that I dislike anything that he's done after it. I love it all. It's kind of like saying, you know, what's your least favorite Pop-Tart? It's like, well, I like them all. I just like some better than the others. Not that I don't like any of them. But anyways, RIP to you there, Sonny. That's too bad that you passed away because of COVID, especially. You know, COVID's just taking everybody. Now, I mean, he was 82. Yeah, great life. I'm not taking that away, but still, it just makes you think if COVID wasn't around, he wouldn't have died. At least that's how I feel. That's what you feel about everybody that's dying from COVID. So, RIP, buddy. I wish you and your family all the condolences in the world, all your friends, all that stuff. Yeah, that's as Maniac says that Sonny Chiba reminded him of Yoda. playful at first meeting of Uma, but then later on, you know, he just becomes this really deep character that's way more badass than you expected. And that's exactly how Yoda is, actually. Good comparison, Asmaniac, for sure. And I'm getting the rest of my drink set up here. Like I said, I was running a little bit behind, as always. Man, isn't that what life is about? Just constant being behind. I don't think anybody in life is actually caught up. I don't think there's one person, unless somebody's just lazy and doesn't care. I don't think there's one person out there that's just like, you know what? It's all done. It's like that one commercial. You remember seeing that one guy who was surfing the internet, and then he's like surfing. And then finally the screen says, "You have reached the end of the internet." It's like, what the funny. So wanted to get to that little depressing stuff first off, just about Sonny Chiba passing away. This is a little bit, it's still kind of in some depressing content, based around depressing content, but it's some kind of good news, at least for us Johnny Depp fans out there. Johnny Depp, it's now been confirmed that he is moving forward and he's allowed to proceed with his $50 million defamation suit against Amber Heard. And now, if you remember me talking the other day, Depp has been basically blacklisted. I mean, nobody's come out and said that, but when Warner Brothers fires him because of him and Amber Heard's situation and their legality battles that are going on, she won one single battle overseas, and I'm not sure exactly where it was overseas, but Warner Brothers completely sided with her on that. And they also claim that they had their own investigation going on. They were just waiting to see what the court said. But I just think it's kind of weird that they sided with a foreign court, not an American court, or, you know what I'm saying? An international court rather than a domestic court. So because of that, though, they fired him, stuck with her. He still got his money, but I think he's good on money. You know, it's Johnny Depp. And I think more than anything, he wants his career, and he definitely doesn't want it to be tarnished. He doesn't want his legacy to go down in the history of being like, well, this guy was good at one point. You know, he doesn't want to be, and I'm not putting him in this category because there's only one. First off, and I have to say this, just like I say with everything, like nobody was there. I wasn't there. So I don't know what happens. I'm not them. I don't know them. I'm not a part of their life, but none of this stuff had happened before Amber. Like Johnny Depp had no track record of any of this stuff. And even people from his past are saying that he's been great. There's no other dirt coming up about him. And I just can't help but think that she's caused some of this stuff. And there is stuff caught on tape with him and her. Anyways, I'm not trying to get involved with all that completely because I don't care about necessarily their personal lives, but I do care about it when it affects the movies that I love. And if he's not being able to make movies and stuff like that anymore, that's just disappointing. So I think it's good that this suit is getting going. I'm happy for him. I want Johnny to get he's worked really hard, man. And again, it'd be one thing if he had a long track record. It was like, oh, here we go again with Johnny, but it's only really been with her. And I'm going to say this too. And I think I was talking about this with somebody else. Maybe it was Asmaniac I was talking about this with, but I don't see Amber Heard getting a bunch of other movies going. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that I believe that once Aquaman is over with, which is, you know, that is something that is a big property for Warner Brothers right now. I understand why they want to hang on to her for that franchise, but I do believe when it's over with, I wouldn't expect to see her in much more. I could be completely wrong. Maybe I'll be so wrong that it's like, well, yeah, you were wrong about that, Bobo. Get out of here. Nobody's watching your show anymore. But I don't feel like that she has that type of interest from anyone else, especially with this drama attached to, hey, I'm the one that ruined Johnny Depp. Yeah. So anyways, Johnny, good for you, man, for being able to get this thing going with your defamation suit. At least, you know, of course, the $50 million will be nice, but at least if you win, then it'll have some sort of more proof, and even Warner Brothers will have some proof in their own eyes to be like, okay, well, he won this $50 million defamation suit, and we sided with her over a foreign court battle. It wouldn't be the first time a studio has made a bad mistake. I mean, Look at James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Then Disney fired him and then they begged him to come back. And I've always wondered, you think they offered him more money than they already had on the line to hire him back? Just curious. Just wonder. Or if it was just like hey, look, we had a fight. We made a bad mistake. Like a man and wife saying something when they don't mean it. I wonder if that's what it was like. It's like, hey, we made a bad mistake. We were wrong. Will you come back? And maybe he loved the property so much. He was like, of course I'll come back. Or I wonder if he was like, you know what? I'll come back if. And who knows? It could have been terms of the contract with the story. It could have been all kind of stuff. But I'm just curious as to what went down with all that. As Maniac says, why they fired James Gunn again. So they fired him because he had some statements a long time ago that they had found from literally like 12 or 13, 14 years ago, maybe even longer than that. Like back when he was with Troma. Now, I don't know if you knew with anything about Troma, the Troma company, but that's Lloyd Kaufman and all that. That's the company responsible for Toxic Avenger. That, remember that shitty ass movie, but it's grotesque, it's stupid, it's horribly made, but it's ironically enjoyable and it's weird. It's just one of those cult classic B movie guilty pleasures. But he was with Troma. James Gunn was with Troma for a long time, and Troma's the one that made all that stuff. And Troma still exists. They make kind of crazy shit, But he made this one called Tromeo and Juliet, and it was a whack ass movie that just had all kinds of ridiculous stuff in it. And it was over the top. It was vulgar. It was gory. It was graphic. It was stupid comedy. I mean, it was so over the top that it was what they call like an auteur's film, and it was sort of a shock culture film, and on purpose. And a lot of guys were doing that back then. You got to remember Quentin Tarantino's done some stuff that's like really like, whoa, in his movies, but he's not fired. I mean, he made those movies. These people are firing him for some old school tweets that came out long time ago before he had really made it, before he'd even made Slither. And so, like I said, he was a shock value director, and that's even still what he kind of is. So for Disney firing him over something like a tweet, and then they renegotiated and they backed off and reconsidered immediately and like, we're sorry, all that stuff. So anyways, that's why they fired old Gunn. Well, moving on. Anyways, I'm just glad that Johnny Depp's getting his due. At least he's getting his chance in court, and they're allowing him to proceed. So that means there must be something to it. But in some positive news, since we were, kind of talking about a couple of things, Keaton just came out with stuff. Good old Miguel Keaton. Now, we know that he's going to be Batman in the new Flash coming up, directed by Andrew Muschietti, which I like that guy as a director. I think he knows what he's doing. Think It Chapter 2 was a little too long. Still good movie, but it was just a little too long. I like Chapter 1 a lot better in general. I think it was a little scarier too. But Michael Keaton's returning, and recently he came out and he had said some stuff about how he didn't really know what he was signing on for. So I'm getting into the article right now, but I mean, he's basically saying, I just kind of figured it out now. He's like, I didn't fully understand how this Batman was actually returning in the Flash. But I think, with him doing the Vulture, and that everybody loved his character as the Vulture in Homecoming, and his success kind of resurging in Hollywood with RoboCop, Birdman, and multiple other things. I think that he was like, of course I'm going to do Batman again. Why not? You know what I mean? You got to. Be cool. I mean, and it'll be the first time anybody's ever done like that, reprising a character like Batman. That crazy, but they are connecting it somehow with the Ben Affleck Flash, because, the Ben Affleck Batman, because Ben Affleck is going to be in this as well. So and he's realizing now that it's going to be some sort of a time thing. It's going to be a time shift. And if you guys don't know or aren't familiar, it is going to be, I don't know how much it's going to be based, if it's going to be loosely based or it's going to be hardcore based, but this new Flash movie is going to be based on Flashpoint, the Flashpoint series in the comics. They even made a DC animated film, which both of those are really good. The comic book is awesome, but the movie they did a decent job on. But Flashpoint is a pivotal moment in the DCEU because it resets the universe and not just, it was a way for DC to reset their sails, to get a new group of people involved with these characters that were not getting old, but it's like, how many stories can you tell with Batman? You know what I mean? And as much as I love that stuff, and I'm not talking about in the movies, but I'm talking about in the comics that have existed for decades now. It's like, how many stories can you actually start telling before you're just not recreating it? You know, it's like a musician. How many albums can a band or a person make before they just have run out of, like, I think I may have exhausted everything, at least in this style. You know what I mean? And I'm a believer that some people, I don't think that you can exhaust yourself as an artist. I think you can exhaust yourself in a style. And Batman is a specific character that needs all these different things. And every comic book character is that way. So how many stories can you tell before you start repeating yourself? Well, what they did with the Flashpoint storyline in the DC universe in the comic books is they used that to reset the template, and that started everything over. So you got to get the story of Batman again. They retold all these things with Superman. I mean, the entire universe, Justice League, Aquaman, Flash, all of it. And the Flashpoint storyline did that. And for a while, it changed all these different things up. And I'm not going to get into all the specifics of what it did. I'll let you either watch the DC thing or go read the material. But it did change things up a lot for a while. Then it set it back to normal, but it was a different normal. So the Flashpoint, just in a nutshell, the Flashpoint storyline starts off with something happening, and the Flash is trying to save his own mother from getting killed. And he runs so fast and goes back in time, which they hinted at much more in the Zack Snyder Justice League, in Zack Snyder's, director's cut. He runs back in time and goes so fast to where he goes and changes it. But when he changes it, he alters reality somehow. And it's sort of a different universe that it's like for a while there's a little purgatory of universe. Then it eventually changes it back, but it's different from the way it was. Everybody's the same again. Everybody's back to normal, but it's sort of starting over from the beginning in a modern day approach. I don't know if that got complicated the way I was explaining it, but it was just their way to start over again with the stories and have a revisionist approach of the storytelling of all the characters in the DC world. And that, I think, is what they're doing in this Flashpoint movie. I'm not 1000% positive, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing. Because even recently, we've seen photos of Michael Keaton here. If you see him on the right, that's him on the set of it. And I don't know if he's at like a prison or something, or like Blackgate prison, or I don't know, because everybody's wearing all these different blue colors and he's wearing a suit, but he looks like he's got the same hair from the first Batman movies that he was in, but it's just gray now, which that looks really cool. And we know that he's going to be going back in time in this. He has to, if there's going to be two Batmans in it, or he's going to be doing something to alter time. And I just have a feeling that with them doing that, that's what's going to happen. They're going to change stuff up so they can move forward without Ben Affleck, and they're going to have some sort of new Batman. Who knows? They might even try to weave it into the new Pattinson universe with Robert Pattinson. Maybe not, though. But there will be a different Batman going forward after this movie. I'm almost positive. I would almost bet on it. Yeah, no. As Maniac says, he still looks great, right? And look, he also said he can't wait to see the Batman suit. They've actually shown some stuff on that. They've not shown a full setup, but they've shown a close up of the bat symbol with some blood on it and some other different things. They're pretty cool that they're starting to show some of the suit a little far away. It's almost like there's like inching away with every clip that they release or every picture they release. But yeah, you're right, man. He does still look great. He looks phenomenal. So I really do believe this is their way to reset the universe, to reset things moving forward. But because they don't want to get rid of Flash, they don't want to get rid of Aquaman. And that's what I'm saying. Things are the same by the time the Flashpoint storyline ends. They're the same as they were when the movie started, just a little different. Whereas like in the middle of the Flashpoint storyline, things completely alter, like in a massive way, where certain characters that like Batman aren't even Bruce Wayne anymore. It's someone else totally different. You know what I'm saying? It really changes it. Whereas once it goes back, everybody's who they're supposed to be, but things are just different. They're younger for sure. Anyways, I don't want to get focused on that too much. While we're talking about DC though, James Wan has just come out and said that the Aquaman 2 is definitely going to be inspired by a movie he loves called Planet of the Vampires. Now, I'd never heard of this movie before in my entire life. And I actually looked up some stuff this morning when I was reading about all this. And already, this is a picture of it right here. Already I can see, okay, now this doesn't look underwater. This looks like on another planet. This movie was made in 1965. So it doesn't look underwater. It looks like they're on another planet, but it does look very Aquaman-y, you know. And James Wan, look, I got to give it to that guy. He does a really good job of taking something that should be ridiculous, should be comical in certain ways because of how ridiculous it is. Not comical like trying to be funny, like, what the hell? Somehow or another, he pulls it off, and he's good at it. I mean, at first I wanted to not like, and I say at first, I'm talking about years ago. At first, I kind of wanted to not like the guy, but then it was like, what's there not to like? He does a really great job. He's invented a ton of horror franchises that are extremely successful, and he usually doesn't remain a part of the creation of it after usually like the first or second, but he still creates it and lets it just do its thing. And most of the time, he still holds on to a production credit somehow, and sometimes he writes. So, for example, you know, he did the Conjuring universe. He created that, directed the first two. He directed or created and directed the first Saw movie, still wrote some of them and then produced the rest of them. Obviously, he did Aquaman, but he did Insidious. I mean, that's another great one. That's just like, wow, Insidious might be one of my favorite of more of the modern day supernatural horror films. Thought that one was the first one. The second one wasn't bad either. It started to lose its steam after that, in my opinion, but I still thought the first one was fantastic. Anyways, what I'm saying is James Wan has a great sense of horror. And so with it being based on an old school horror film, I think that we also have figured out that it is going to be based on these guys, the trench dudes. And let me pull up this article and check it out and read you guys some of the stuff. Say Aquaman 2 is very heavily inspired by Planet of the Vampires. And he's basically saying to the total film, everything. He's like, I'm actually trying to almost recreate it in a certain way. I don't think he's ripping it off, but he's trying to recreate it somehow. And he's like, you can take the boy out of horror, but you can never take the horror out of the boy. The first movie took a lot of people by surprise, and that's partially because they weren't familiar with the comic book. It deals in a very lurid, strange world. People were taken back by that, and they didn't know all this stuff right away. And that makes it, you can get a little dark and heavy for a film, but I didn't feel that would have been right for the first one. So in the second film, I think it's going to be way right for it, way easy for people to accept that we're going darker into that foundation we've already laid. All right. That excites me. And the other thing that excites me is that now that I realize that he's basing this off of Planet of the Vampires, I found out while doing the research for that Planet of the Vampires is directed by Mario Bava. I was just talking about Giallo films the other day. Planet of the Vampires is a Giallo film, basically. Mario Bava just made like a sci-fi Giallo film. So now, first off, I got to watch that movie because I just found out about it today. But if it's directed by Mario Bava, he's one of the Giallo greats. So this is making me stoked about the new Aquaman movie because, look, I enjoyed the first one. I thought the first one was great. Now, is it up there with Endgame and stuff like that? No, it's not, but I don't think it was trying to be. I think it was trying to be more of James Wan's vision, just like go crazy. He wanted it to be colorful, all these things. And it was sort of like Avatar, but Aquaman. I thought that was awesome. Personally, I thought it was awesome. I was very satisfied with that movie. I'm really looking forward to the second one. And like I said, he knows horror. He definitely knows horror. James Wan he's good at horror. And he's done well with comic book films so far. I enjoyed Furious 7. Say what you will about that movie, but I enjoyed it. So I think it's great that he's basing it off of something that's really influential on him, like something like a Giallo film, basically. And the fact that he's going darker with it and going more of the horror, right? Because I love the trench characters in the first one. I thought those demons from the trench were awesome. Fantastic. As Maniac says something right here, this is pretty funny. He says that he is what J.J. Abrams wishes he could be. Talking about James Wan. Hey, if you would have said that to me 10 years ago, I would have argued with you. But now, I 100% agree. 100% agree. Because he's just proven to keep being creative. And this is what I think is cool about James Wan. And I think a lot of people might not know this about him. He's been very successful. And I think that he's successful overseas as well, because that's where he comes from. But I think that his main thing and why he's so successful is because he stands his ground. And yeah, you're right, as Maniac. He's a franchise starter, but he stands his ground with what he wants in his vision. He doesn't let people shy him away. And maybe that's because he started in horror. And then these companies have realized how much money he's made in horror. And so they're starting to trust him. You know, after a while, if somebody in a company has made you just gobs of money, you're going to start trusting them more and more and just sort of let them do their thing. And I think that that's probably the difference between him and J.J. Abrams, because I think J.J. Abrams wanted to become a studio boy. I think he wanted to become somebody that's like, yeah, I want to be in the business side of it. And look, I'm not dogging on Abrams because I like a lot of his stuff. I really do. I love Star Trek. And I thought the second one wasn't quite as good, but I still loved the first one. I still love the second one as far as the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies. But, you know, as much as I loved Super 8 and the premise of it and what it was trying to go for, it had some stuff that bothered me, honestly. I thought that the visual effects on the monster were not good. And I thought it was just too much. I think that they could have pulled that off practically. And then, look, I think we all can agree that he messed up Star Wars, for sure. He messed up the last movie. I like Last Jedi. I thought it was a good move. I thought it was good. I liked the direction it took. I thought it was dark, and I just needed something to continue from that in part 3. But nope, they made that last trilogy just like every movie is its own thing. It's not even a trilogy. It's weird. I hated it. I liked the first one, and I personally enjoyed the second one a little. The first one was cool because it was just a nice breath of fresh air to see Star Wars again, and it was done really well. It was cool. Yeah, it's a little bit of a ripoff of A New Hope, but still, it was really done well, you know? The second one was actually a risk. To me, the second one took some chances and went somewhere that I didn't expect, and I actually enjoyed that. The third one was just way too much of a hybrid of trying to please the fans with trying to do stuff that was like a correcting a mistake type film. So there was a lot of apologies in that movie, and it was just bad. And I'm getting off track. I didn't even plan to talk about Star Wars today. My bad. So sorry. All right. Well, moving on. First thing I saw today, and I kind of saved this for a little later because we got some other stuff that I wanted to talk about that's MCU related. So let's switch to some MCU stuff here. First things first, it's official. Anthony Mackie will be starring in Captain America 4. So I knew that was going to be happening. And I'll say this. The more I look at the suit, the less it bothers me, but it still kind of bothers me. So just there that is. But there's parts that it just looks like it could maybe like fall apart or something. Does anybody agree with me there? But he has signed on for that 4th film. And I mean, like I said, I knew it was going to happen, and it's being written and directed by the same guys who wrote, or the same guy, the head writer who wrote Falcon and Winter Soldier. His name's Malcolm Spellman. And I thought the writing was good on Falcon Winter Soldier. I just didn't think that it was executed well. It wasn't bad. It wasn't. And I still enjoy it, but it's definitely not my top thing from them. I think it was a little bit of a misfire. I think it underwhelmed. It was too like, okay, this is Marvel, but I've seen this done before. I've seen Iron Man do this, all that. As Maniac says, bah, just talking about that. Yeah, I mean, look, I think a lot of people feel that way, and then a lot of people don't. A lot of people really love it. And I love Anthony Mackie. Don't get me wrong. I think Anthony Mackie's badass. And I like him being Captain America. I just don't think the way it was executed well. I don't think it was the writing either. I think it was their choice in editing and in directing. I think they just went way too fast with it. Like that could have been, I think it was 6 episodes. That definitely could have been 8 episodes, but definitely should have been a 10 episode series, in my opinion. So I'm definitely excited to see what he's going to be like in a movie, because that show was just a little underwhelming. And I don't feel it was the writing. I feel like the writing was there. I do. I really do. I do think it was the editing and the directing and the choice of pacing, that taking it too fast, it just ruined it, in my opinion. But I do want to see what he's going to be like in a movie. And I want to see where that takes him and the rest of the MCU as well. Because at this point, I'm not sure, is he going to be the leader of the Avengers? I don't think so. Because they're going too cosmic with the Avengers. They're getting way too big for it. I mean, most people are pumped about the movie. But there are a lot of people that are like you, as Maniac, that are just kind of like, they just don't care about it. Or they're over it. They just wish. So, you know, they're doing a fourth Captain America and they're doing a fourth Thor. And the Thor movie, that is going to work because that's a transition movie itself. And I don't know if Chris Hemsworth is signed on for a lot more stuff. I really don't know. But because Marvel's really secretive. But I do think that he had more in him. I love Chris Hemsworth as Thor. I know there's some people out there that, you know, they're just like on the character of Thor in general. I love him, but I'm also a nerd. I'm a comic book nerd. I mean, to me, it's like, bring it on. And I got a man crush on Hemsworth anyways. But they're doing the fourth movie there, and they're doing the fourth movie with Captain America, and it's a transitional phase here. So I definitely wouldn't be surprised by, like, if there's a fifth Thor, it's only going to be Jane Foster, because in the comic books, Jane Foster takes over the hammer. She wields Mjolnir, and she becomes the Lady Thor, and that's a full thing and a popular run in the comics too. So I would imagine they're going to keep her Thor for a little bit, especially with the way things are going with inclusivity and diversity and all that right now. And I bet you they'll keep a trilogy of 4, 5, and 6 of Sam as Cap. And then who knows what's going to happen after that. But I do hope that it's a badass director, somebody that's a solid director, somebody that really knows what they're going to be doing with a film, because I just don't, even the action scenes were good. The action scenes were good in Falcon Winter Soldier, but the way it was directed up towards and everything leading up to the action scenes, it just wasn't executed well. You can tell they were trying to get you involved with these characters, like when they're on the, like Sam and Bucky are on the boat working and stuff like that. And I get it, but it just wasn't done in the way that made it maybe really into it by the time those action scenes are hitting. You know what I'm saying? For me, by the time the end of most Marvel films, by the end of them, you're just like, oh, I'm so pumped up at this point because of everything it's led to, the emotions you've been invested in. And they just didn't fully invest you enough, in my opinion, or they didn't get dark enough in Falcon Winter Soldier. But other Marvel news, it was rumored let me see. We got something here from Esmaniac. So he's saying most are pumped. Oh, no, he's saying, oh, gotcha. Episode 1 and 6 were good, but the rest was filler. Yeah, I mean, I think that there was some stuff in there that was pretty decent all the way through. Like, I like the stuff with John Walker. They just needed to extend that more. I'll tell you what I didn't like, though, was the villains. Like the girl villain. To me, that was just kind of, I didn't like it. Thought some of the stuff with the way, it's like, how is Sam able to do this? And they just expected you to buy it too quickly. I think they need to explain more stuff for you to truly buy it and believe it the way you need to buy it. You know, the way you need to subscribe to it as the audience member, they didn't do it well enough to make you get to that point. So, but anyways, moving on to some other Marvel news. Ben Kingsley it was rumored that he might be returning, and he just confirmed himself that he's returning in Shang-Chi. Now, I don't know what else he would be except for the fake Mandarin, which I loved him as fake Mandarin. I thought that was great. A lot of people didn't like that in Iron Man 3. I liked it a lot. I thought it was really good. And like when I saw it, I remember being kind of giddy. I remember being like, wait, what? But then I remember being really giddy and being like, I actually really like this. This is pretty awesome. So the fact that he's coming back and giving you that sort of tie-in that we're really wanting, and everything I was talking about yesterday with Kevin Feige actually confirming that, yes, things are tying in to that point, and the 10 rings are going to be connected in some way. And like I said, in the comics, the Mandarin is Shang-Chi's father. So this has got me pumped up. And most people in the MCU might not remember Ben Kingsley from anything else but being the fake Mandarin in Iron Man 3. But he's actually a very renowned actor. He's been in a ton of stuff, and he's most known for Gandhi. That's what really, really got him famous. But he's definitely himself confirmed that he's returning to the MCU in Shang-Chi. So, hey, that's awesome. Now, like I was talking to my buddy as Maniac, in what format? Who knows? Is he just going to be shown in a picture? They're going to refer to him? Or is he going to actually be, is he going to show up in the actual movie? I mean, who knows? I don't like that. But either way, I think the reason the fake Mandarin was kind of good and people liked that, maybe it worked, is because Ben Kingsley is such a good actor. He was so believable as that drug head party character, whatever, that was just a deadbeat. Like, and then he was also believable as the Mandarin when he was in that character. So I just like Ben Kingsley. Like I said, it's never a bad idea to add talented people to what you're doing. And he was and just to keep that continuity, I think is really cool. Because if you can really do something in this Shang-Chi movie to connect it back to Iron Man 1 or just the Iron Man franchise in general, because the 10 Rings is this, and the 10 Rings is also the group in Iron Man 1, and it's in Shang-Chi. So if they can connect that like fully, that's going to be pretty dope. I mean, bring it. If you ask me, bring it. Speaking of Shang-Chi, though, the world premiere just came out on Monday night, which so far the reviews are really, really good for this. People are saying that it's going to get you back into that Marvel mode that you've been maybe missing. Now, this is the first one being released straight to theaters in 2 years. Now, obviously, the pandemic had something to do with that, but Black Widow wasn't. And I just got to say, it just looks bad, you know? It's like, hey, let's put the girls movie out on Premiere Plus and everything, and let's just not treat it quite as important. But boy, when Shang-Chi comes out, we're going to put that out, and it's going to be super important. It just doesn't look good on Chapek. I've just got to say that. It definitely doesn't. And real quick, as Maniac writes in, it'd be awesome if he was really the Mandarin and it wasn't an act. Like, that would be awesome. Yeah, like that would be pretty badass if like he was doing a triple fake. That'd be dope. Well, but Shang-Chi coming out. So look, it's getting amazing reviews. Everybody knows that they've been pumping this pretty hardcore. Even before the pandemic, they were talking about it and they were getting everybody kind of psyched up about this Shang-Chi thing. And I think it is going to be amazing. I'm really looking forward to it. The problem is I'm just not sure it's going to be making all this money. And I'm not sure that they're going to be able to continue making, like, what they're having to set up right now is a big thing, especially if it's connecting to part 1 and it's connecting to Iron Man, or it's something that's been interwoven into the narrative the whole time. You're just finding out about it. They have these big things coming up, and especially for the next thing I'm about to talk about in a minute, but can they afford to make all these movies still without the returns? I mean, really, can they? Because look at this. I'm going to put this up on the screen. Right here is basically the box office returns for the comic book films in general from 2018 to 2021. Of course, pandemic stuff is going to affect it. And you can pretty much see where the pandemic started to affect it. But then what's funny is the pandemic had nothing to do with the Birds of Prey numbers. So if you're looking at the Birds of Prey numbers and it's right where it starts really shortening, the pandemic hadn't really hit in at that point yet. So I thought that I don't think that it had. It says 2020, but I think that it came out like real early. I think it came out right before the pandemic really hit. So again, I remember seeing that when the pandemic wasn't an issue yet. But you can see the numbers drop off significantly. Bloodshot was a pandemic movie. New Mutants unfortunately, after 5 years of being tossed around for release dates, they finally released it during a pandemic. Idiots. Wonder Woman 84. Okay, that was the first one that one pulled the move of we're going to do the dual release, theater and on streaming on HBO Max. That was their first one of HBO Max, that full period. And then you have Black Widow and Suicide Squad after that. Black Widow did the best of them all during the pandemic. But look at it before that. Jeez. I mean, Black Panther was in a February release. And look how much money we're talking here. Now, if you look at that number at the top, that B is billion. The M is million. So the B, once it hits there, that's talking billion. And the darkness of the colors there is just showing how the dark red is domestic. The middle light kind of medium red is post debut of the domestic. So that's literally like after it's been out for a little while. And then the light pink is international. And then all of it is combined. So I'm just giving you the layman explanation for that. Now, obviously, Infinity War and Endgame are the top two. Endgame making over 2 billion worldwide, which is nuts. I just never thought I'd see the day that a comic book film based on the Avengers would be the highest grossing movie of all time. I'm glad that it was, and it deserved it. But it just, you know, if you would have told me that 20 years ago, I would have been like, nah, that ain't never happened. It's going to be Batman or something like that, you know, or Spider-Man. So you're saying you can't read it. It's too pixely. All right. Well, thank you for letting me know that, Asmaniac. But anyways, I'll take it down. It's just showing that the numbers were way bigger for some of those other movies before they had hit the point of the pandemic. And I just don't think that they can continue to making these 100 to 50, 200 million, $300 million movies if it's going to be another year before we can even get back in the theaters. And look, that's talking about it's going to be another year. I'm not even sure that's going to happen. Another year is way, way down the road. But look, we're 2 years into this almost. In February, it'll be 2 years since, or March, it'll be 2 years since the pandemic started. And right now we're a year and a half in, and we're just as bad as we were when we started it. Again, I'm not getting into the pandemic details, but it's affecting movie going. It's affecting theaters and people. I have to reiterate this. Movies make their money on box office sales. Yes, there's merchandising and yes, there's all that, but they need those box office sales. That's how they make their money, because the least amount of effort goes into a ticket. So think of it this way. Yes, you have your movie theater establishments that exist because you have to have a nice place for people to go. That costs money, of course. And then you have to have, like, you know, the popcorn and all that is there. But the concessions is the way those places actually stand. The way the theaters pay their bills every month, the way a theater pays its rent and keeps the lights on and all that is all money through concessions. The movie studios make their money through those ticket sales. So imagine this, a ticket, most of the time it's just even on your phone these days. You don't even print it up. But there's a ticket. There's nothing that goes into you getting that ticket. But manufacturing and merchandise, you have to think about all the production that just goes into the manufacturing and merchandising to get it to the point of a toy or a coffee mug or a keychain or a hat or a t-shirt. The movie is ready to make money once it's made. And once it starts making money, it's just pulling in profit. Any profit that it pulls in from merchandising is shared with other companies that are making those toys or making those keychains or whatever, and the stores that are distributing those things. You see what I'm saying? But the theaters is where they make their freaking money. And they can't make this type of money if we're not going to see movie theaters. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what the answer is. But if people aren't going to the theaters and the money isn't coming in 5 years, and it's still in 3 years, if it's still getting to this point, I'm not sure we're going to have these movies coming out to where it's going to be like, oh, look at this, 300 million for this one, 300 million for this one. Because at some point the money dries up, you know? So I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried, especially after we got this trailer today of the new Eternals. Oh my God. Phenomenal. phenomenal. Now look, I don't want to bust it out and be like super hypey or anything, but look, it was excellent. It looks amazing. I don't know what else to say. I'm not going to sugarcoat that at all. It looks phenomenal. And I think the casting is magnificent. I think the first trailer was a teaser trailer. So that's expected to not be super hyped about it. If you're a super nerd like me, you're going to be hyped. I was super excited when I heard they were making an Eternals film. You know what I'm saying? Before I even saw the trailer. So when I saw the trailer, that was enough to where I was like, oh man, I'm really pumped now. They're moving forward. But to finally see a full-on trailer that we got today that gives you everything of explanation, they tell you so much in this one. I mean, it literally explains why they're here after Thanos, why all of that is going down, why they waited, why they didn't interfere with Thanos or all these other things. I mean, they mention it in the trailer. Salma Hayek's talking about it, talking about Thanos and why they didn't do this. She's talking about it with Rob Haddon. And it gave me chills. I've watched it 6 or 7 times now, and it really does explain everything. And I'm not saying it explains everything about the film. Obviously, it doesn't do anything like that. It explains why you haven't heard of these guys. It explains why you should be excited. It explains why they're important. It explains why we need them now and why it's necessary to have them here now. I'm just excited. And I'm telling you, knowing the content that I know of the Eternals, and the Eternals is not a huge thing. If you want to get caught up and read it, you can read. I might be wrong about this, but as of when I stopped reading comics, which was probably about 15 years ago now, but Eternals, there was only really 2 miniseries that existed of the Eternals. And actually at that point, I think there was only 1, but I think at this point, there's 2 separate miniseries that exist for the Eternals. And it's not hard to catch up on. They're like 12-issue miniseries. It's not like an ongoing thing like Spider-Man or Batman, that's where it's just like decades worth of material. It's not like that with Eternals. However, it completely coincides with the MC, or if you're a comic book reader, it completely coincides with the Marvel world that you know. And that's what they're going to be doing with it in the MCU. And now in the comics, there's not like a Thanos world snapping event that they are connected to so much. That's something I feel like that they've tied in for the movies more because they have to. They want to keep that narrative, that thread going, which I'm excited about. I think they're doing a good job. But Chloe, I think it's Chloe Zhao is how you say it, is directing it. And she's already gotten Best Director and Best Picture for Nomadland. And so it's good. I'm really excited about it. That's all I can say. It's just going to be dope. Hey, my bad, dog. Yeah, I'm going to start it over. My buddy Brian said it started thought it at 1 p.m. Well, I did put the thumbnail up saying it'd be at 12. So, you know, if you get my notifications, I would think that maybe it got that. Maybe not. Maybe not. My baddicks. You could just restart it over, jerk. Sorry, that's my buddy Brian, one of my best friends in the world, if not my best. We share initials. His last name, I just put him up there, but his last name it starts with a W, and mine does too. So his first name is Brian, so it's BW, and B-Dub is what we go by. He even started this cool website that's like all the B-Dubs of the world. It's got Bruce Wayne, Budweiser, Bruce Willis, Brian Weinberger, Bobby Williams, of course. So it's just a fun little thing that we've done for a long time. So I just thought I'd mention that. But back to the Eternals. I'm stoked. I couldn't be more excited about it. It looks so awesome. Like, you guys got to go watch this trailer immediately. Like, as soon as you hear about this, watch that trailer because, like I said, it ties in why they're there, shows you why they need to be there. It gets you excited about the characters because it starts showing, you know, a snippet of a fight scene here and there. And if you know how pivotal the Eternals characters are to the just vast world of the Marvel universe, then you know this is going to be important. And with Chloe Zhao directing it, I'm just stoked. And then we also got, you know, 2 Game of Thrones stars in there. We got Kit Harington, you know, Jon Snow's going to be in there, and then we got King Rob in there. So right there, you got solid acting, but then you got Salma Hayek on top of Kumail Nanjiani. Angelina Jolie's in it. So it's going to be dope. Trust me. I think this is going to be a very mature, elegant MCU film. It's not going to be like Captain Marvel or Ant-Man, which I love those movies, but those had sort of a comedic tone in certain spots. They tried to be pop culture-y. They tried to be trendy in certain ways. This isn't that type of a movie. This is going to be epic. This is going to be really big picture stuff. And I feel like it's now that they've already announced that Fantastic Four is coming out, and they're showing all these really massive villains and stuff that you're seeing in this trailer. You just have to see it. I mean, now it's just getting me excited for Galactus. Awesome. You know? Oh, B-Dub's in the house. Hell yeah. B-Dub. But these big villains they got in this trailer, it's just getting me excited for the future of the cosmic lane that Marvel's going down for the MCU. Definitely going to be dope. And I think that the Eternals are here right at this time because they knew that after Thanos did this deal, you're watching the trailer. God, I can't talk right now. If you're watching the trailer, Thanos did this snap, and they talk about the snap, and they talk about how everyone coming back right away like that had this weird effect. And obviously with the multiverse happening, I just think it's just in time with No Way Home coming up in December, and then Doctor Strange 2 coming up in February. That's if they happen. And I'm saying if they happen, they're going to happen because they're filmed. But Venom 2 got pushed back a month, which I don't know what they think a month is going to do. Oh, the Delta variant's popping up right now, and hospitalizations are through the roof. So just let's wait a month. Like, it's not going to do anything in a month. Now I get it. People aren't going to the theaters, and you need to make your money, Sony. You always got to make your money. But I'm just worried that if that gets pushed back, and it's because people aren't going to the theaters, I think it'll all be based on if Shang-Chi really pulls it in and proves that it can still make money during this Delta variant. But honestly, if it keeps getting worse, I don't know how safe it is to now start going out in the theater. And if you want to make money and you have packed theaters, which is really the only way to do it, I mean, how safe is it? I don't know. It's just confusing. But it ain't on Disney Premiere. It's only in the theaters, so I got to go see it. Maybe I'll put a hazmat uniform on. Wonder if they would let me in the theater with that. Just coming in. Shang-Chi? Yeah, that'd be hilarious, right? Anyways, guys, that's pretty much all I got for you today. I just really recommend going to see that trailer. Go check out the Eternals trailer. It's awesome. Looks dope. And also, R.I.P. Sonny Chiba. Rest in peace, buddy. 82 is way too soon, but you will be remembered. And I'll never forget you in Kill Bill. The show. Also, guys, if you weren't able to comment about anything while I was talking and doing the show live, comment on BrassReelBobby.com. BrassReelBobby@gmail.com. Like I said, I want to get involved with everybody. I want to answer questions, get involved over stupid comments about what's going on in the movie world in general. That's all making it better for me. So please, if you can't tune into the show and you want me to talk about something, I'll always respond to that right there. Also, check out my videos, and I got some reviews coming up the next couple of days. I'm going to be backed up. I'm backed up on the Don't Breathe review, but I am going to be having that coming out. Sorry, that's a little late. But I also got Reminiscence coming out this weekend, and I'm getting to work on my Halloween videos for October. I'm just getting a head start on that. It's going to be a video every day. So, woo! Anyways, guys, if you hadn't done so already, hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button so you can help us make it to the top. And as always, if life gives you lemons, make some hot, fresh popcorns. Peace. I'll see you on Monday.